Hello, my name is Andrea Fischer. I'm working in glaciology in the Austrian Alps for more than 20 years, and I did not only witness the retreat of glaciers but also the impact of vanishing glaciers on tourism. Mountain tourism started at the end of the Little Ice Age, and the conquering of the highest peaks, glacier travels, started at the end of the 16th century. In the image here, we see a large group walking onto the Mont Blanc with the glacier researcher Saussure, and there had been big groups staying for a long time and changing local economics as they needed infrastructure, accommodation, support in logistics, and this had an impact on local communities up to today. Income from mountain tourism worldwide thus support also females in their living conditions as part of the money spent for accommodation helps them to create an independent income in remote regions. Since the beginning of mountain tourism, not only the glaciers changed. This image shows the painting of an Austrian glacier, the Fernau in Stuber Alps in 1842. There have been no roads, no huts, no cable cars at that time. The glacier was really large, and we do not even see sheep grazing there. So when we look how the region looks today, we see the old moraines in the foreground and also a big cable car and ski slopes in the area. Now, a big glacier ski resort is located there with 1 million tourists per year using the infrastructure there. So this indeed looks like nature, but it is populated during winter like a small city. Things in high mountains changed. We see here the grazing sheep in the Ötztal Alps, and this had been the major opportunity to earn money and to gain income during the last centuries. Now, ski tourism is an important factor in the more developed regions of the world, depending on snow, depending on glaciers. But glacier travels are important for remote regions all over the world. And the changing conditions, like here in the Austrian Alps, rain in a season where usually we had about 2 meters of snow close to the summits in the highest regions, they change all of the business of mountain tourism, not only up in the glacier covered regions but also down in the valleys, because the glaciers and the valleys are connected. The Tiefenbachferne in this image covered near the full extent to the right margin where we see the valley station of a cable car. The disintegration of the glaciers lead to a steepening of surfaces, to increased rock falls, to a formation of new lakes, and it's increasingly difficult to maintain travel routes and infrastructure close to the glaciers in all regions. After the extreme melt year 2003, glacier ski resorts in Austria started to cover critical parts of the ice with geotextiles, which was effective by reducing melt of ice and snow by up to 70%. But this is a measure for a few years only, and it's not possible to save glaciers with this method, as it can be only applied very locally and it's very intensive in costs and labor. Machinery and large infrastructure is needed to maintain the glacier covers, and in most parts of the glacier ski resorts it's abandoned right now as the glacier loss is so large. We lost 10% of the glacier area within the last 2 years, but it's not possible to work against that global change phenomenon with small sheets emissions. So even if measures are locally very effective, as here on Stubai glaciers, we see an area rescued by geotextiles for several years, the method is very, very limited and cannot be applied for approximately a decade. Because most of the area is unprotected in any case, and what we experience now is a huge amount of rockfall pouring down from the faces as the glacier surface is lowering and the glacier itself is steepening rapidly. This makes glacier travels increasingly difficult and increasingly dangerous. For high mountain infrastructure, as here in the image for Stubai Glacier Ski Resort, the patchy ice cover is really, really difficult for maintenance and requires continuous effort to be able to travel the area, which is definitely not possible for glacier travels without the possibility to use infrastructure as caterpillars or so on. So many of the routes which are used or have been used during the last decades will be abandoned during the next years. The danger is not restricted to the glacier itself, as the decrease in elevation of glaciers also results in changed energy balance and in large rockfalls, as it took place in Austria and Switzerland during the recent years. So glacier has not limited to glacier area, and the formation of new lakes does not only endanger the mountain tourism in the mountains itself on the summits, but it also endangers, like in the Himalayas or the Andes or even in the Alps, the lower valleys, as the water masses can result in huge problems. Cavity formation under the ice is hardly recognizable, but it causes additional problems, as here also water can collect, leading to big glacier outlet. Small glacier remnants can be covered by debris and collect water masses for many decades and centuries. Rapid glacial recession, as here for the Hallstätter Glacier in the Dachstein area, does not necessarily mean the end of the tourism. In this region, the glacier ski resorts have been abandoned and glacier travels are restricted. But now people find different routes, stay in lower elevation, but still it's important to keep the glacier hazards in mind and develop protective measures so that tourism can be supportive for regions which are remote and still have low possibilities for other income.